they're not this well attended, and nor are they this quick. So, look, I'm just delighted to be here, and thank you, Megan, and to the Riding Association for inviting me and my colleagues for this opportunity. Il me fait grand plaisir d'être ici à Halifax aujourd'hui. Mon expérience, je suis le député d'Alto-Centre depuis 2006 et depuis 2007, j'étais le porte-parole pour les affaires étrangères. Et je crois que notre parti, c'est une énorme opportunité pour le futur. You know my history, my background, mais quand j'étais plus jeune, j'ai travaillé au Nicaragua sur le terrain avec un projet pour l'aide, pour apporter le matériel pour la santé et pour l'éducation, pour la population partout le pays. And that was a very important piece for me when I was younger, when I was in Nicaragua and working in aid. And it really developed for me my ownership, if you will, of grassroots politics. I then became a teacher, and I was the first vice president of my union, and then, as I mentioned, I was elected in 2006, and you know what I've been doing since 2007. It is important for me to tell you that because I believe that grassroots politics is core to our party. I believe grassroots politics is how we take on Stephen Harper. I believe grassroots politics is what our party needs, and I believe grassroots politics is going to take us to the next level and win government in a couple of years, and that's what I want to be pushing during this election campaign. It is who we are. I mean, you think of the history of our party. When we do well, it's when we connect with people, we engage with people. I'm delighted to see members of the Occupy movement here. I'd like to not only have us occupy places throughout this country, I'd like to occupy Parliament Hill and occupy a place for the people so that we're heard and we're a majority and we're in power. And that's what I think we need to work towards. It is interesting as I've crossed the country and I'm on my 7th week of this campaign. I've been to almost 50 different places. I do get home once in a while to check in. Is that people want to see change and they are tired of what Stephen Harper is offering. And let us be clear, what we have to offer is so much different. And I get the question, and I'm sure my colleagues get it as well. So how are you going to take on Stephen Harper? Well, I'm going to tell you something. I think how we take on Stephen Harper is we don't play the same game as Stephen Harper. What we need to do is offer people hope, ideas, and we need to engage with them and invite them in. See, Stephen Harper's, I've been watching him for a couple of years. I've noticed something. Stephen Harper's game is to suppress the vote. It's to turn people off of politics. I think what we need to do is encourage people to vote, turn people onto politics, bring them in, get ideas flowing, and get change going that people want in this country. And I know you know what some of the issues are. And this, I think, also has to be important during this leadership campaign. Not only building up the grassroots and doing it right now to take on Harper and the Conservatives and provide a positive option, but we also need to put ideas out there. And I've been talking about what I think is the jobs deficit in this country. Since 2006, 228,000 Canadians have lost their job. Harper doesn't count that way. Harper likes to count, he does his net benefit little numbers game. He forgets the fact that our country actually has grown since 2006. And when you look at the facts, we've lost jobs. I think we need to look at what I call the jobs deficit. Those are jobs that aren't being created that are good quality jobs. The fact that we need to look at investing in jobs in our local economies and sustainable jobs and making sure that we have jobs that are going to be long-lasting and allow people to stay in their communities. That's a deficit I would like to engage in a debate with Stephen Harper. And the other thing we need to do, and we've said this time and time again, is look at where the money's going. You know, corporate tax cuts to companies that are making profits and aren't investing should be ended. We know that. So why don't we start investing in things that we know are going to give us some return on our investment. Small, medium-sized businesses. Let's start looking at the green economy. And I'm very big on making sure that our country has a green grid across this country so we can have sustainable energy, not just for now, but for the future. And that's the kind of thing I'd like to see us invest in and get jobs going on. A green grid from east to west in this country. We also have to look at youth unemployment. It is appalling that we haven't been able to make a dent on that. That's part of the jobs deficit as well. And we need some tax justice in this country. Since 2008, we've seen $17 billion leave this country to go to tax havens. And that's just money coming from the big banks. And why I like that stat, it comes from an economist from the Bank of Montreal. I think it's about time we start to ensure there's tax justice. Let's look at these tax havens. Let's start taking a look at how much people are paying at the bottom end. And let's start looking at that. Let's make sure artists are taxed in a different way so we can have income averaging for artists. They create, they sustain our economy, they make our economy strong. Let's give them benefits as well. They're left out all too often. So that's when I talk about jobs and the jobs deficit, tax justice, I think we need to focus on that. But I have to put in a special appeal to all of us here. I was in Timmins just recently with Charlie Angus, and he had just come back from Attawapiskat again. And if you go online, you can see what he saw, and I just was meeting with him just after he came back, and he was editing the video. It's on his website. And you have to go there, you're New Democrats, and you have to see what he saw, and then you can no longer claim ignorance. And what we need to do is not only push to make sure Attawapiskat is not forgotten, but what we need to do as a party is lay down our commitment that within the next 10 years, the following will happen. Every single reserve in this country will have clean water, affordable housing, affordable power, and education and living dignity. My God, it is time. What I saw, and you'll see on those images, this was housing I saw when I was in Nicaragua. This is, what you would consider a garden shed. Kids without proper sewage, drinking water, heating. That's our fellow citizens. I know, in fact, the Occupy movement in Toronto is getting behind this. Let's all occupy this issue. Let's make sure that Harper can't get away with it again, and that Canadians don't forget their First Nation cousins, and we get on with this issue, and that's something I'm committed to. Finally, I have to say something about foreign policy. My gosh, we can do better. I travel a lot lately. It's been across this country, but people ask the same thing. What are we going to do? What we're going to do is put our progressive policy forward and start talking about peace in this world again. Let's start talking about peacekeeping again. Let's not bow to those who say, well, Paul, peacekeeping's dead. It is not. When I go to the Congo and I find out we've been asked 3 times to provide peacekeeping, and we've said 3 times no, not for thousands of troops, but for some of our men and women who are exceptional professionals in this area. Let's get back into that, please. Let's get into innovation and peacekeeping. And there's lots happening where women are involved in peacekeeping and peace building. We have Resolution 1325, which we signed on to have more women involved in peacekeeping and peace building and conflict resolution. That's where Canada should be, not militarism like we see. This is something that is our brand, our turn to put our best ideas forward. That's something that should be front and center in our foreign policy. Along with climate change. You all witnessed, as I did, what happened this past summer when we knew there was going to be famine in East Africa. We were told. It's all about mitigation right now when we can, but adaptation when we must. And what happened in Somalia and East Africa could have been avoided because we knew it's time to focus on adaptation when we're doing development. Look at Ethiopia. It was able to withstand some of the ravages of the drought. Why? Because there was investment there. But our fellow citizens just beside weren't, because we weren't there, but we knew. So let's have climate change front and center. Let's sign on to agreements and actually follow them. Let's make sure that we are front and center when it comes to arms control, nuclear disarmament. That's what Canada's role in the world should be. And we need to put this out to Canadians and invite them in. We need to say it's time that Canada took its role on the world stage again and be proud of it. And that should be our message to New Democrats from coast to coast to coast, and in fact around the world. I want to finish off by just recalling, and we all recall so well, the message that Jack left us in the letter. But he also left us with the message that I keep with me, and that was the press conference of July 25th. And he went off script, he had his prepared statements, and it was very difficult to hear and watch. But he also said something very important, very simple, and something that I think we should be taking out to Canadians and, in fact, to each other. Let's take better care of each other. Let's take better care of our planet. Let's take better care of our seniors. Let's take better care of our newcomers, our youth. Let's just take better care of each other. And let's not apologize for that. Let's take that positive message to Stephen Harper and his politics of division and say, let's take better care of each other. Let's get that on. Let's take that message right across this country, and we will not only be a stronger movement, a stronger party, but we will be a stronger country. Thank you so much for inviting me today.